I cheated on my wife 40 years ago. She found out before she died and forgave me. I don't know why I'm telling this now. Maybe because I'm out of time. Or maybe because the silence is finally louder than the shame. Her name was Helen, my wife. We were married for 53 years. And I loved her. Truly I did. But I betrayed her. Once. In a hotel room in Atlanta in 1983. She never left me. Never raised her voice. Never even mentioned it. But I know now that she knew. And I'm not sure what hurts more, the fact that I hurt her, or the fact that she carried it all these years without ever letting me see the weight of it. I was 41 when it happened. We were going through one of those dull, quiet marriage phases. You know, the kind, the kids were teenagers, I was working too much, she was tired all the time, and somehow we'd stop seeing each other as people. Just roles. Husband, wife, provider, mother. I was on a business trip. Nothing exciting. Just 2 nights in a mid-tier hotel with beige walls and weak coffee. There was a woman. She wasn't special, not beautiful in any remarkable way, but she listened. She laughed at my stories. She made me feel like someone again, not just the guy who forgot to take out the trash or missed another school recital. One drink turned into 2. One touch turned into a kiss. And then I was in her room, trying to convince myself that it was just a moment, just a slip. It didn't feel good. Even while it was happening, it felt wrong. I left before the sun came up. Didn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Took the first flight home like I was trying to outrun what I'd done. When I walked through her front door, Helen was folding laundry. She smiled and said, "You're back early." I said, "Yeah, missed you." Lie. The guilt settled into me like a second skin. And I told myself it was just a mistake. A one-time thing. Something to bury and forget. But guilt doesn't get buried. It grows roots. In the months after, I pulled away. Not in obvious ways. I still kissed her goodnight. Still showed up to family dinners. Still remembered her birthday. But I stopped looking her in the eye when she laughed. Stopped reaching for her hand in the car. Stopped telling her the dumb little things that didn't matter. Because I didn't feel like I deserved her anymore. And she noticed. She asked, once, late at night when the kids were out and the house was too quiet, "Are we okay?" I lied again. Said, "Just tired." And she nodded like she believed me. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe she already knew. Maybe she knew that very night. Over the years, we kept going. We went to weddings. Cried at funerals. Sent our kids off to college. Got matching mugs that said Mr. Grumpy and Mrs. Smiley. She always made me breakfast on Sundays. I always kissed the top of her head before I left for work. On the outside, we looked solid. Untouchable. But I knew. Every smile she gave me after that night felt like a gift I didn't deserve. Every birthday she planned. Every time she held my hand in church. Every time she said, "I love you," without hesitation, it gutted me. Because I knew the truth. And I didn't know if she did. It's a strange thing, knowing you've hurt someone who still loves you anyway. You'd think it would make you grateful. Make you cherish them more. But in my case, it made me pull away. Because every kind gesture from Helen after that night felt like a slap for myself. And she never stopped being kind. That was the part that messed with me the most. After Atlanta, I was never the same. Not in any dramatic way. I didn't become cold or cruel. I still said, "I love you." Still held her hand in public. Still made sure her coffee had just enough cream. Still ran out to get her favorite lemon yogurt when she had a bad day. But inside, I was different. It's like something snapped the moment I crossed that line. Like I had unlocked a version of myself I didn't want to admit existed. The kind of man who could betray someone gentle. Someone good. I wasn't proud. I was ashamed. So ashamed, I started trying to justify in my head. We were in a rough place. It didn't mean anything. I was just lonely. I needed to feel seen. But all those excuses dissolved the moment Helen would smile at me from across the dinner table, like I was still the man she married. That's when I'd feel it. That deep, aching shame. About a year after it happened, she started asking little questions. Nothing direct. Just things like, "Is there something you're not telling me? You seem far away lately. Are we okay?" And every time, I'd find a way to deflect. Busy at work. Just tired. Getting older. Hormones. She never pushed. Never accused. Never snooped through my things or checked my phone. And I told myself that meant she didn't know. But I think she did. I think she saw the guilt in my silence. Felt it in the way I avoided eye contact during soft moments. Heard it in the way I answered questions with practiced calm instead of honesty. The years passed. Our kids grew up. Moved out. Started families. We became grandparents. Retired early. Took a cruise. Renovated the kitchen. Bought rocking chairs for the porch. And talked about maybe downsizing one day. We had a good life. At least on paper. But underneath the routine, There was this unspoken thing between us. A quiet, invisible scar only I could feel. We stopped kissing like we meant it. Stopped having long talks in the dark. Stopped reaching for each other just because. She never stopped loving me. I knew that. But I had changed how she looked at me. And even if she never said it, I think she mourned who we used to be. Then, for years ago, she got sick. Pancreatic cancer. Came out of nowhere. 1 month, she was baking cookies with the grandkids. The next, she was in and out of hospitals with a feeding tube and sunken cheeks. I became her full-time caretaker. Bathed her. Fed her. Read to her when she couldn't sleep. She never complained. Not once. If anything, she got softer. Gentler. As if dying made her more at peace than I'd ever seen her. And that was what crushed me. Because I kept waiting for her to ask me. To confront me. To use this time to get it out of her system and let me have it. But she never did. Not until the last week. We were in hospice. I was helping her brush her teeth. Her hands were shaking, so I held the cup for her. And out of nowhere, in this low, calm voice, she said, "You've been sorry for a long time, but you never said why." My heart stopped. I froze, toothbrush in hand. She didn't look angry, just tired. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. So she smiled, that same soft smile she'd given me for over 5 decades, and said, "It's okay. I already know. I've always known." And I swear, in that moment, the floor dropped out beneath me. Because the one thing worse than being caught is being forgiven without ever asking for it. I couldn't speak. I stood there, toothbrush in one hand, glass of water in the other, and just stared at her. She had known, all along, and she had never said a word. Not when I came back from that trip and kissed her on the cheek like nothing happened. Not when she asked if we were okay, and I gave her nothing but tired lies. Not during anniversaries, Christmas mornings, family vacations. She knew, and she chose silence. "Helen," I finally whispered. "I'm sorry." Her smile didn't change. Just a slow, tired blink. "I know," she said. I sat beside her on that hospice bed for the rest of the night. I don't think I moved. I didn't sleep. I just watched her breathe, watched the way her chest barely rose and fell, and wondered how the hell she could have loved me through it. Because I sure as hell wouldn't have. I tried to talk, tried to explain. I told her I never meant for it to happen, that it was one time, that it didn't mean anything, that I was lonely and scared and stupid. She just nodded, not because she didn't care, but because she'd already lived through it. Without me. That's what gutted me the most. She had grieved me while I was still lying in bed next to her. I asked her why she didn't leave. She looked at me, not sad, not angry, just soft, and said, "Because leaving would have made it about me, and we still had a life to raise. Kids to raise. A home to protect. You made a terrible choice, but I made a different one." I asked her why she didn't at least say something. She took a while to answer that one. She looked up at the ceiling for a long time, then said, "Because I didn't want to see you lie to my face." I cried like a child, right there beside her. I wanted her to scream, to slap me, to say she hated me, something, anything, but she didn't. She took my hand, the same hand that had held another woman once, and squeezed it. "You were a good man. You just made a bad mistake. But you let bury you. That's what hurt me more than anything. You stopped letting me in. I think that's when it really hit me. The cheating didn't destroy us. My guilt did. I had been punishing myself for decades, thinking I was protecting her. But all I'd really done was build a wall between us and call it love." She asked me to promise one thing. "Tell the truth before you die." I asked her what she meant. She said, "Don't let people remember a version of you that never really existed. Our kids think you're perfect. They deserve to know you were human." I shook my head. Why would I ruin that? Why would I make them hate me? She smiled again, the same way she always did when she knew something I didn't. "They won't hate you. Not if you tell them everything, the truth and the regret. Not if you show them you never stopped trying to be better." That was Helen, always believing in the good, even in people who didn't deserve it, especially in me. She died 3 nights later. I was holding her hand. She didn't flinch, didn't cry, just drifted off like she was finally ready to rest. And I sat there, broken in ways I didn't know I still could be. Because the truth is, her forgiveness didn't heal me. It wrecked me. It left me raw, exposed, empty in a way no punishment ever could. She gave me peace, and I didn't know what to do with it. After the funeral, everyone came up to me with the same lines. "You were her rock. She was lucky to have you. You gave her such a beautiful life." I smiled, nodded, thanked them, but inside I wanted to scream, because they didn't know the truth. They didn't know I spent 40 years kissing a woman goodnight while knowing I didn't deserve to. They didn't know she died with a secret lodged in her chest, a pain she carried in silence because she loved me more than she needed justice. They didn't know I wasn't a rock. She was mine. Some nights now, I sit on our porch with a drink in my hand and talk to her out loud. Maybe that sounds crazy, but it's the only way I know how to apologize now. I tell her about our grandkids, about the new neighbor who trimmed his hedges wrong, about how I tried to cook that awful casserole she used to make and burn it to hell. And I tell her I'm sorry, again and again. She's not here to hear it. But maybe that's the price of forgiveness. You carry it alone when you waited too long to speak. It's quiet in this house now. Too quiet. Some mornings I wake up and still expect to hear the hum of her electric kettle, or her humming while folding laundry, or that little frustrated sigh she made when she couldn't find her glasses, even though they were always on top of her head. But all I hear is the creak of the floorboards and the sound of my own guilt breathing beside me like a shadow. I never remarried. People tried to set me up after Helen passed. A neighbor, a widowed friend of my daughter-in-law. Nice women. Sweet. But I couldn't do it. Not because I was still in love with Helen, although maybe I was, but because I knew I didn't deserve another chance. Not that kind of love. Not again. Once you've been forgiven like that, really forgiven by someone you broke and who chose grace over vengeance, you don't go looking for replacements. You live with it. You carry it like a second spine. And you don't complain. Because you got away with it. And that's the worst punishment of all. My kids still think I was the perfect husband. They post old photos of us on anniversaries. Say things like, I want what mom and dad had. They were soulmates. 53 years of love, that's rare. I never correct them. I sit there, heart pounding, nodding along like a coward. I've thought about telling them. So many times. But I can hear Helen's voice in my head. Tell the truth before you die. And I will. I'm doing it now. Maybe not to their faces. Maybe not at a family dinner. But these words, this story, it's for them. For anyone who thinks love means never messing up. Because it doesn't. But it does mean owning it when you do. If you asked anyone who knew us, they'd say, I gave Helen a good life. But I didn't. I gave her a safe life. A quiet life. A half-honest life. She gave me everything. Patience, loyalty, her whole heart. I gave her most of mine. But not all. I kept a part locked up behind guilt and fear. And that part, that missing piece, was the part she deserved most. And now she's gone. And I can't give it to her. I sit here now, 82 years old, and people ask me what I've learned. What I do differently. And here it is. Don't wait to confess. Don't think silence protects the people you love. It doesn't. It just makes them carry pain you should have shared. And don't mistake forgiveness for a second chance to forget. It's not. It's a second chance to be honest. If I could go back to that night in Atlanta, I would have stayed in my room. Not because I didn't want to cheat, but because I didn't want to lie. To her. To myself. To the life we were still supposed to build together. I got away with it. No consequences. No drama. No scandal. Just 40 years of quiet love with a woman who knew I broke her and loved me anyway. And now I sit in a house full of memories with no one left to talk to but ghosts. I cheated on my wife. She forgave me, but I never did.